Now, 2,500. That is the estimated number of new cases of breast cancer diagnosed every year in Ireland. Thankfully, survival rates have increased to almost 80%, which is largely due to early detection. And so with that in mind, 7 well-known women, all with their own stories, have taken part in a new photo campaign called Feel Your Selfie, which is hopefully going to inspire women to be more breast aware. Harmonia CEO Norah Casey joins me now. There's a whole load of us sitting there feeling our selfies.
Yes.
Nora, you are one of those women, and you chose to take part in this campaign because you've had your own journey with breast cancer that a lot of people weren't aware of, actually.
Yeah.
Can you tell me from the beginning of when breast cancer became a part of your life?
So I suppose you're right. I've never spoken about it before, and
so I thank you for doing so.
I know it feels strange to talk about it because I'm quite a private person. I talked about Richard's death because I felt nobody was talking about that, but other things in my life I kind of would be quite quiet about. So about 7 or 8 years ago, I was a nurse, so I always self-examined, and I felt I had lumps. You know, sometimes you're strange about it and you think, well, have I really got lumps, or am I just imagining it?
Sometimes different times of the month, your boobs can feel differently. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I didn't have a GP at the time, and I went to see a locum, and she kept saying, well, I can't feel anything, Nora. And are you under a lot of stress? And I was beginning to self-doubt. I was saying, gosh, maybe I'm really imagining this. But I stuck to my guns, and in almost exasperation at the end of it, she said, would you like me to send you for a mammogram? And I said, I would, actually. Now, in saying that, most GPs would send you immediately for a mammogram. I just happened to have somebody who was a bit sceptical. So when I had the mammogram, they discovered about 7 lumps, which was fine. I went in and had them done in the matter. And
when you say had them done, what does that?
So they went into both sides and they removed those lumps. But when I was in recovery, the surgeon met me and said, listen, while we were in there, we discovered that I have a very rare tumour, which isn't even worth scientifically going into. It's called a phyllodes, and it was against my chest wall. They found it because they went in to take the lumps out. And he said, we'll have to go back in again in probably a week, and we'll take, part of your breast away. And it's got a high level of recurrence. The reason it's unusual, it's very unusual. So I don't want anyone out there to sort of think it's totally different in that it invades space. It doesn't respond to chemo or radiotherapy. But the better news is it doesn't fire off secondaries, So I think the idea is you take as much material around it away. It's a high rate of recurrence, about 25%. So it took a long time for me to get my reconstruction done. I only had that done 18 months ago.
So just to go back, because that's a lot of information.
I know.
and you talk about it so because you are a professional person, you talk about it in a very professional way, but so you'd 7 lumps, and when they removed them, were they benign? Did you know it was okay? I mean, how did you process that information?
There's always a time delay, so, they take samples, and I was reasonably relaxed about the lumps, I have to say. The operations are, they're so well done nowadays, and I'm not going into details, people are having their cornflakes, but it doesn't make you feel like you're any less a woman, I suppose. But when I heard they had to go back in and they took the outer part of this breast away, and like most women, to be honest with you, Sinead, it was a no-brainer. It was, you know what, actually just take it out. You don't think at the time, wow, I'm going to have half a breast left. You just say, take it, I want to get rid of it. So it does take a little while to process. And then I was constantly back and forth having mammograms to see how to come back. And then Richard, I think I would have probably dealt with it quicker and better had Richard not got so sick so quickly. And then I got very caught up in, the illness and his death and the aftermath. In fact, the producer here, Sally, worked with me on News Talk when I took time off to have my breast reconstructed, and she kept saying, I can't believe it, that time when you took 10 days, did you really get your... And I said, I did. I came back in bandaged, and I didn't want anyone to know, so I just went back into the studio, and I guess at the time I felt it was quite a private thing. And so when Breast Cancer Ireland asked me to take part in the shoot, there was a moment when I thought, does it have to be me? I'm being honest with you. There was a moment when I thought, do I have
Haven't I given enough already?
That sounds really selfish, because
no, it doesn't.
Actually the campaign was so amazing. Yeah. And hopefully yourself and myself and all the other brave women who did it, that will save lives, that will raise awareness. And I feel that quite strongly, but there was definitely a moment when I thought...
Your journey with breast cancer now, you've had the reconstruction done. I can't believe you just took 10 days off. You're incredible. So you took 10 days off, got your breast reconstructed, came back. How are you now? What's the situation with you now?
I'm completely clear.
You're completely clear.
And when I say, so mine was a tumour, and, so it would be wrong to say that it was breast cancer, because it's a very, very unusual It was a very unusual situation. It wasn't like what other women go through. So I always say I'm in the halfpenny place compared to women who've to, you know, face double mastectomies. My reconstruction was delayed because of the recurrence, so I had a lot of tests before they did that, which was great. So it meant I got the all clear, and apart from annual mammograms, I don't envisage. Well,
touch wood. You can touch my head. Or...
I hope it. No, I don't think. I think I'm okay. I think.
What's most interesting about your story, and thank you for telling us, because I know you are an intensely private person, so I know it takes you a lot for you to give. So thank you, because it is going to make a difference. So thank you. But when you go back to the beginning of your story, was that you stuck to your guns and said, "I think something is wrong here," when the medical expert was dismissing it. So would you say to women, because we know our bodies quite well,
we do.
And if we don't know our bodies, we should get to know our bodies. That's what this campaign is all about. It's your responsibility. Check yourself, feel your selfie. But when you look back, I mean, if you hadn't stuck to your guns then, God knows what it would have happened.
I dodged a bullet. Yeah. And you know what's interesting about this is I have pretty savvy friends who I think are quite intelligent women. And when I told them I was doing this campaign, every one of them said, I don't self-examine. Maybe sporadically once in a blue moon. So it is incredible to me that we know this is preventable. You know, my husband died because he had cancer that isn't preventable. He could have been prodding his tummy. He'd never have found that tumour in his kidney. So here's one that we can, you know, stop. We can stop those deaths through early detection. And yet women out there who should know better aren't doing it.
And it was funny actually on the day, we're looking at the pictures now, I think that's Lynn Kelly, an amazing bunch of women. There was Cathy O'Connor, there was Ross Purcell, there was Vivian Connolly, there was of course Emma Hannigan, who we love dearly on the show and is phenomenal. Amazing woman altogether. And everyone had a reason for being there, some very personal reasons, some, you know, like we've all been affected by breast cancer in our lives somehow. And Cathy was great, I have to say. But on the day that we did it, the girl who was doing the makeup and one of the stylists both said, and they were young women, I don't check myself, but because of today and being part of this, I am going to check myself. But I think a lot of women don't know how to check themselves. And there is an app. People can access the information because it is quite easy to self-examine.
Really easy. And, you know, you just get into the habit of doing it once a month after menstruation or period to you and I. Because if you constantly do it, you can do it really quickly. Because, you know, you're kind of looking for visual changes. The reason we're using the 3 fingers, as you know, is that's what you use to do self-examination. The app it'll take you about 2 minutes to, you know, take on board the information. And it's very easy to do. As you say, if you're doing it every month, really is just a couple of minutes out of your life to save your life, you know? And particularly if there's men or women listening, then pass on the information to somebody. That's like your gift to your daughter or your wife or your sister to say, download the app from Breast Cancer Ireland, you know. Because
early detection is how we save lives.
There's no reason for people to die from breast cancer, none whatsoever.
And that was a really good point you made, that Richard's cancer wasn't detectable. He could have prodded and poked away. But here is a way for women to catch their cancer in the earliest stages and give themselves the best possible outcome. Because we're seeing 80% of cases now are survivable. So breast cancer is becoming a treatable illness as opposed to, you know, a death sentence.
Yeah, there should be no, really, everyone should survive breast cancer now through early detection. So it seems almost like it's ridiculous that us women, I suppose, don't take on board that message, that it isn't really about, you know, not wanting to know the bitter truth of having a lump. It's about, I hope I found a lump because I'll have found it early, you know. Now,
it was a fantastic campaign. It ran in the Sunday Independent yesterday. People can have a look at it online. I know you have a 16-year-old son who had some difficulty with his mother appearing topless in the Sunday Independent.
It's funny, Roz and I just met outside. She's on your show later, and Roz said, oh my God, I was afraid my mother was going to have a look at that. And I said, that's hilarious, because I was afraid my son was going to look at it. My 16-year-old, had a bit of a meltdown about it. And to be honest with you, that's just what 16-year-olds are like.
But he's also very proud of you.
He's very proud, and he understands that the campaign was about saving lives.
So we're encouraging women at home to take a picture of themselves, a selfie with their 3 fingers on their breast with your clothes on. You don't have to take them off as we did. And hashtag it, feel your selfie, and send it to?
Well, it's at Breast Cancer Ireland, and you can
if you text it to 50300, it sends €4 automatically to a great campaign. Nora, thank you. I know that's not easy for you. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you so much. Now let's take the news with Siobhan.